Hello everybody and welcome to I Love Sketchup issue 82 and it's OC week. That means we get to draw some original characters and mash them up with other people's original characters. Robert, how's it going, man? Rather than beating around the bush, how about you hook me up with a link to your OC that you would like me to draw today? And then as other people come in, I'll grab them as well. Let's bring that down. Let's go here. I'm not really sure what kind of drawing I'm going to draw today. Looking around for inspiration as usual. Zoo! How's it going? Long time no talk. It's OC week, so if you happen to have an OC, you can always send me a link either on my Facebook or my DeviantArt or Patreon if you follow me on Patreon, and I'll copy and paste it onto my page right now so I can match it up with somebody else's original character. Just waiting on some references, so I guess maybe I'll just start drawing a pose and then I'll go with the flow afterwards. Let's do something, I guess, cute. Bring that head a little higher so I can get like a longer neck. Let's make my eraser a little harder than that. I don't like where the legs are going. Okay, sent. I sent you the link on DeviantArt. Awesome. Alright, I'll go grab it. Excuse me. Alright, so this person's going to be called Zevel. Or Zavel. Or Zavel. Scarlet. Vavel. Cool. Let's see, we're gonna have her back like this, her body's there, she'll have her hip over here, and one leg here, so this leg I'll bring it down, I guess. Just bring that leg out. Maybe a little further out. There we go, something like this. Alright, Zoo, why don't you tell me a little bit about your character? And you too, Robert. Have you changed anything about Scarlett's background? It's more or less the same. Alright, Robert. That's alright. Makes sense. I haven't changed the backgrounds to any of my comic book characters. Like when you've got an idea and you really love it, it's rare you'll find like things that will make you go, oh yeah, I should change this a little, or I should change that a little. Okay, man, my nose is like super itchy today. Alright. All right. Well, I don't know if you mind, Robert, but would you mind retelling me a bit about your character? It's been a while, and my memory is terrible. Eric, a lot of creative people have a blood type that is called Rh negative. You are very, very, very creative, so are you Rh negative? One of my family members is Rh negative, by the way. Is this a real blood type, or is this a South Park thing? But real talk, I'm O negative. Let's give this guy his little C that's here. Yeah, when I was like, I kind of have a fear of needles. Like when I was younger, somebody that was like taking my blood at the time wasn't very good at it, or they were learning or something, and they butchered me, and my arm was really sore for a while. And since then, I don't really give blood like I should, but it's just like if I had to, I would. But other than that, bad experience messed me up good. Let's put a little. All right, it's pretty cool. Let's see here. Okay, Scarlett's parents are a dragon father, and mother is a priestess. A priestess of dragons? Take my advice, do not give blood. It's not a good idea for people with Rh negative blood. Demon Slayer one. What? Well, would a dragon be constituted as a demon slayer in your universe? Or I mean a dragon. Would a dragon be a demon in your universe? Let's give her like taped up fingers. Beady 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 beep. Okay, let's change up the mouth. I don't like it. Let's give her a nice grin. One like Vavel. Scarlet's mom was attacked and cursed, but the curse went to Scarlet and not her mom, and slowly is changing her into a Nico form. A dragon is the species in the world, so it doesn't constitute as a demon. Actually, let's erase that a little bit. Or make it so that this is like sewn on. Alright, I think we can start getting to work on like doing a nicer sketch on top of this. You asked about my character? Vavel is a space pirate that steals treasure, but he also does good by capturing dangerous criminals, especially if there is a bounty involved. Oh man, pirate with a heart of gold. Ah, that's better. Come on. There we go. I'll work with that one. Looks great so far. Thanks, man. Man, we do some pretty cool mashups. We rock. And I say that including you, Eric. Awesome drawing. Thanks, man. I wouldn't be able to draw cool mashups if it weren't for the help of my trusty followers. And their fun, creative characters. Otherwise, I'd probably just draw my own characters all day. All day, every day. Let's bring that all the way up. Get rid of some of this. Oh, come on, man. There we go. I wonder where Zeno is today. Probably busy working. This kind of gives off the illusion of cat ears. Or big ears in general, I guess. Just realizing now it's very wakfu-ish. I haven't eaten any breakfast yet, so I'm going to get some food. Please excuse me. You're excused, Zoo. You are excused. Let's bring the mouse down a little. When I watch people do their live streaming and stuff, I'm always eating when I do things like that, or even watching like shows and stuff that I actually want to physically or visually see. You know, like the new Mandalorian show. I watch it every now, like, and every time I've watched it, it was like I can't draw while I'm watching it. Usually I draw while I do everything, but I can't draw while I'm watching that show. Or Rick and Morty. It's another show that like I'll watch, but I don't draw while I'm watching it. So I always find things to do, like, so it's usually like when I'm eating supper or something like that. This eye's too big, I think. Oh man, I'm using like the wrong brush. That's why I'm having so much trouble here. I don't like her face. I'm having trouble with this face. I know there's a properly drawn face in there somewhere. Let's get rid of my sketch. Maybe that's throwing me off. The eye. The eye is too big. Let's try something like this. So, Robert, are you working on a novel for your characters? Are you working on like a video game or like how are you like you, I draw your OC pretty frequently. So like what is it that you use for like your main like what's your end game with your OCs? I don't like that. That's better. The smaller eye, it looks a lot nicer. Bring this down a little. A good story OC. That's cool. I'm thinking about a story or manga, but lots of detail is needed. Yeah, and manga's a lot more work than writing a book. Like if you end up writing a novel, you can just write it on your own. And then you can hire artists to do maybe certain drawings here and there for your book. Like if you want interior art or out, that sort of thing. It won't be as costly. Whereas with a manga, you're looking at the production time, which is ridiculous. You're going to hire a lot of artists to help you work on it if you want it to be done quickly. Otherwise, it'll be like me, where it takes me like a freaking year to do a 20-page like issue, which is really way too much time. But I don't have a choice. So, uh, like I like the manga route. That's why I'm doing it. So I'll never like knock on it. But I'm just saying that unless you have the patience, the time, and the cash to self-publish, unless you find a company to publish it for you. And let's face it, like if you draw all the time, then it'd be one thing. But if not, you're gonna have to hire illustrators to draw your story for you, because most people won't do it for free. And most people, like, you'll tell them your story, and they'll either say, "Well, I have my own story I want to work on," unless you pay me enough to not work on my own story. And these are just like pitfalls that I've seen with a lot of other people, and like including myself, like just things I've learned over the years. So if you want to do it, I would go the book route and then just hire a couple illustrators. It'll be easier for you, and you'll get a lot more out this way. And it won't cost you an arm and a leg. Give me your crazy shoulder pads. Like Space Age 80s style. I actually started writing a book a few years ago because of this exact same thing. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to work on my manga because I've always wanted to do a manga. And I decided to contribute like 15 years of my life to making this manga. And I'm on year 6. Pretty nice. So I'm almost halfway. Sometimes I think about some of the other ideas and things that I've made over my life. Like there's one comic that I had started working on before working on Blythe. And, well, actually, that's not true. I worked on Blythe first and foremost, and then afterwards I put it aside because I thought it was going to be too long, so I started working on another comic. And I really waited years before actually drawing Blythe. But, so yeah, anyway, I had like one comic I was going to do. It was only going to be like 5 issues, too. So I for sure would have gotten it. It'd be like I'd be done this year, you know? Like, that would have been cool. I think about that every now and then these days. Just what it would have been like having chosen a simpler path. And then my book I was telling you about, I've already written like maybe 1,000 pages to it. And of course it needs to be edited, rewritten, edited, rewritten. A lot of back and forth. But still, it's pretty, I really like my book idea. I had all these like cool concepts for adding like comic elements to the novel. And I'd probably be done my novel if I had worked on a novel over my comic. By now, for sure. Like I said, I already had like 1,000 pages. Like I just needed to do a bunch of drawings for it, but that would have taken me the 5.5 years I spent so far on my comic. Ideas come to me pretty quickly. But at the end of the day, I ended up choosing to go with my comic book over everything else. And I would never take that back. Like I said, I think about it sometimes like, oh, how things would have been different if I had done this or if I had done that idea. And who knows, maybe I'll do those ideas one day in the future. That'd be cool. But until that time comes, I'm going to keep working on my comic. And I like my comic. The reason I chose to go with my comic over doing anything else, like my shorter comic, was going to be a lot of dark humor. And I ended up deciding that, like, you know what? It's not, like, I wanted to do something a little more serious. And that has humor in it too. And that also has, like, a lot of cosplay and costume and fan potential. So that's why I made my comic over my other ideas, which I'm sure a lot of people will. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would like my other ideas too. Like, my other ideas are pretty cool. But with this comic, it's like has a lot more feels to it. Well, it depends. Like, one of my ideas was super serious, and one of them was all like dark humor. And my dark humor one, I don't know if it would pass today. I mean, it's 2019, and comedy is just really, really having a hard time. Plus, I kind of like how my Blythe comic, like, I love monster creatures and things like that, and I've had a lot of first days of school in my life from moving around a lot, so it speaks to me a lot more, the comic Blythe. Plus, it'd be easy to make action figures and board games and all sorts of stuff based off of Blythe, which I also think of because I tell myself, okay, well, if ever my, not if ever, when my comic gets crazy popular, um, I need to be able to market it so I can make more money so that I can help publish more of them and push it further and further. So, how do I go about doing that? Well, I make sure that I take an idea that's easily marketable. So it's weird, but it's like that's something that a lot of people don't think of when they come out with their ideas. They'll just think, well, it's my idea and I love it and I love all my characters and all my stuff for it. So for sure other people are going to love it, and most of the time other people don't. It's hard to say that. Okay, so let's not just say that. Let's not say that they don't. Let's just say that for the most part, they might like a lot of people might not like the design. They might not like the style of writing. They might not like a few things, you know. And you gotta. So when you're creating your characters and your universe, you really gotta think about likability. Because even in your writing, you know, like if you write a character so that they're kind of like the protagonist, I mean, if you think of like the most amazing protagonists, you either think of ones that are super chaotic, like Carnage, anti-heroes like Venom or Punisher, and even Punisher is like less on the spectrum than way less than Venom. Um, but like, let's say a lot of times you'll think of characters like Loki and Magneto who are kind of like good. Like there's methods to their madness, and those are always like those are the most popular ones. So if you're gonna make some sort of villains or like protagonists to your comic or your story, it's always good to think of ones that like people will be able to relate with. And if they can't relate with it, you got to give a really good reason why they can't relate with them so that people love them for that reason. Kind of like, I don't know, Galactus. A lot of people like Galactus, and the people that don't like Galactus just don't know Galactus. But Galactus is awesome, and humans can't relate to Galactus, which is something I think is really cool. So like even like with the writing of my comic, like my current issue that I'm doing now is, man, it's really gonna be the best issue I've made to my comic book. Like it's my favorite one. I don't know if it's gonna be other people's favorite ones, you know, based off of the way I like to write and I like to tell my stories. But as it is for my entire comic, my favorite issue was the second one. I don't know if anybody here has read it, but that's the one where they get like they're like Dom and Quill wake up in the morning and they're on their way to school, and they get to the school and that's kind of where it ends. But the whole trip they take going to that school of just hanging out and like talking, and it's just very real, and I like that. Like originally I wanted my whole comic to just have that vibe, but I had to build up to that. Like I was able to throw it in my second issue, which was super cool, but I want more of my comic to be written like that, and I knew this from the beginning. It's just that I need to introduce these characters in this classroom, and all this stuff needs to happen. It needs to feel a little chaotic at the beginning, because it is chaotic when you're going to school for the first time. Like whether it's a CJEP or a university or a college. CJEP is kind of like college for Canadians. But yeah, so I had to like, in my comic, I had to get through all of that before I could start writing what I'm writing now and the way I'm gonna write now. Because now I've kind of like set the stage with my first act to my comic book. So now that I'm done the first act and I'm starting to work on the second act, I'm gonna have like, I guess if I'm gonna call them all individual issues, it's gonna be my issue 6 to my comic, and that is gonna be finished in time for this year's Montreal or next year's Montreal Comic Con. So it's gonna be out during the summer, and by then I'm hoping to try and have like a website where I can start selling my comics. I think that would be awesome. I have a lot of people that want to access to them, and I think that would be a good way to do it, is get a website, figure it out from there. Alright. So anyway, going back to my comic and the current issue that I'm working on. So I'm currently working on an issue like the sixth one, which is for me my favorite. It's gonna be my favorite one for sure because I love the second one so much. And like I said, I kind of write this one like a lot like my second one, where it's just conversations and it's very real. And the whole issue takes place just walking from one class to the next, which I mean I love concepts like that. So like so little time would seem as it's going by, but actually there's a lot more time going by than we think. Then again, oh no, it's more like, okay, so it's more like it seems like there's a lot of time going by because so much is happening, but not much time is going by. Yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Because so much happens, and in such a short span of time. It's kind of like that when you're going to school. So, especially the first day, things happen so fast, and then they slow down, which is a reason why I didn't particularly like the sixth issue to my comic. I know it's mine, but it's like my least favorite one. It's the longest one. The artwork in it I find is the nicest as well, because you know I've drawn for the past 6 years, so I've gotten a lot better at it. It's just that it's I find it boring, but it's just it should be boring, you know, like it's a teacher that's talking to the class and telling the class all about their own cultures and their, well, not their own cultures, but their own biology. And this is something that most of the students already know themselves about themselves, and they don't really care about it about the other students. So there's a lot of information when reading it, and I did it on purpose so that it would feel long and winded in that issue. So you'd be like, oh my gosh, this feels like a science class. But, I mean, some people love science, so I say it like that. At the same time, you know, like, you get to learn so much about all my characters. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, you'll be like, oh, cool. If you want more drama, then you're not going to find a lot of drama in that issue. But you can see that by the end of it, there's drama that builds up. So that way in the next comic, it'll kind of be like more like people just hanging out or talking or going through the motions. No, I think I like it not as opaque. I think that's nicer like that. Alright, so let's see here. Let's pop this out a little. Let's add this. I don't really like how this is going like that, so let's change it up. Let's change this up a bit. Smaller brush. So after this, I have to walk to a print shop and go get some prints made because I'm going to Montreal, like a little like it's kind of like a winter small little Comic-Con that happens in Montreal every single year, and it's really big. Like we're talking like thousands of people show up to this. It's only 2 days and it's free to get in for people. So it's something that like very popular. And so I have to go to the print shop to go make myself some prints. I don't like how I filled that in when nothing else is filled in. Because I had drawn an illustration of Jessica Rabbit, and I didn't make any prints of it yet, so I gotta do that. Do it, man. Thanks, Robert. And hopefully I sell a bunch of my comic. I'm always talking about my comic. But it's because that's really like my focus in life is that. It's so important to me. Like I want it to work so much, and I know it could, you know, like if I had financial backing for it, I know it could work out super easily. It's just that I don't, or I don't have the connections either, you know, like I'm working on it. But it takes time to get these things, and cash too cash flow is tough. Like I work so many hours at my part-time job just so I can barely keep my head above the water. And all my money I make on, hopefully you sell out. I'd love to sell out. I love saying it like that too. Oh man, I sure hope I sell out. Man, I'm trying, Robert. I'm trying to sell out. You know, like sell out as a person. The thing is that it's hard to sell out when you have a lot of morals. You know, like if somebody came to me and they're like, I will give you $1 million if you, like, and I'll help you with your comic, but you got to change all these things. Those changes I would be very, very, like, hesitant about. I would, like, literally be like, no thanks for your $1 million, good sir, as I have my views in life that I want, and I have, like, a direction for my comic, and I do not want to sell my comic. So that's a problem. Like, how am I gonna make money if I keep turning money down? Gotta do it on my own term. That's what I tell myself. If I'm making a comic, it's gotta be on my own terms. Alright, I think we're pretty much done here, y'all. Let me give this a little signature. Oh man, won't be drawing that little 19 soon. It's gonna be a 20. Alright. Alright, so today's illustration, Double OC Adventure, excuse me, is an OC called Vavel and an OC named Scarlet. So, I think we're done here. Yep, 2020. Oh my gosh, I know. I hope 2020 is good for me. You know, like 2019 hasn't been amazing, but it hasn't been bad. It's been, you know, regular. Like it has its ups, it has its downs. Like I had some great conventions and I had some really awful ones. I managed to finish my trade paperback this year, so like I'm so happy about this. You know, like freaking 5 years to make this, and now I'm working on the next one. But like I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to see what this year holds. You know. I'm trying really hard to finish my next issue in time, and because usually my comics are 20 pages a year, because it's all the time I have, this year's comic's going to be 34 pages, so that's pretty big, and I have to do like a cover, and I got to add like some extra drawings in the back. I love adding sketches and stuff to things, so I might do that. And, well, I'm definitely doing that. I love my individual issues to be really unique, and then when I make a trade paperback, I still add like, you know, tons of like designs that I had done, character designs here, like sketches. Hold on, let's see if I got like a page to show some sketches on it. Come here. Hey, here we go, some sketches, how I made some of my pinups. So like, I like this. Oh, you can't even see it. Hold on, let me like bring this up. So like, yeah, some sketches here, character designs. Like I like adding all that sort of stuff into the back of my comics. But when I make individual issues, it has tons of other stuff, like really more raw things. So at one point, in my second issue, I had to draw like all these housings. So like I put in like a full page where it's just full of sketches of different type of weird creature, alien, monster-like houses that I could create. You know, so I like adding that sort of stuff. So I make it like really unique and exclusive, my individual issues. At one point, I'm gonna make a Kickstarter campaign for my comic, maybe for my second trade paperback in like 4 years from now. And when I do that, I'm going to have, I still kept some of my individual comics. So I'm not selling them anymore. Like I kept enough to make like little piles of 1 to 4. And I'll definitely be offering those out to like, you know, people that spend a certain amount. And drawings too. I might be like, get a free sketch inside whatever. Although when people buy my comic, I usually like at a convention, I'll draw a sketch inside. I always do. I ask them to like pick out a character and I'll draw it, but I don't know if I do a Kickstarter campaign and it's online, if I'm going to do that for everyone, or depending on like, you know, like I'll have to think of all that. I have years to think of that. I'd love to do it tomorrow, but I need more product. Maybe I can hire somebody to make me an anime intro. That'd be cool. Alright, let's see here. Let's get all my stuff ready for my outro. Here we go. Thus ends my live stream session for today. Yet the real challenge begins. Listening to my 2-minute long advertisement on me, myself, and I. All links mentioned will be in the description below this video. Or to the side? You know what? Who knows anymore? At a young age, I realized that sleep was for suckers and I could get way more done by avoiding it altogether. But now that I'm older, all I want to do is sleep. And I work like crazy, and with your epic support of $3 a month. Jeez, $3 a month. What costs $3 a month now? You know what? Like, let's say you get yourself like an Evian or like a good, like a Fuji bottle of water. It's 1 bottle of water. Although in the future, when people are listening to this, they might be like, "Are you crazy? That's like $100." So what can I think of that would be a good $3? You know what? I'm just gonna stick with my bag of chips. You get yourself a bag of Cheetos. Instead of getting that bag of Cheetos this month, how about supporting me? And all of that money goes towards helping support this comic book, which I do everything about. I write it, I do all the illustrations, I do the self-publishing, I do everything. It takes me a year to come out with like 20 pages, and this is 5 years of hardcore work, and I'm currently working on my next one. For all of you already following me, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, but I feel like thank you for me is never enough. So how about praise from a local celebrity? Sombra, get in here. Hello, I'm Sombra. Eric got me during Black Friday because that's the day you get sweet Nendoroids. In any case, Eric doesn't really know much about me because he doesn't play Overwatch. He just thinks I look cool. Alright, thanks, Sombra. Oh, and thank you to all his loyal fans. Thank you. You know what? I think I like you even more now. Now I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I have a blurry photograph of my kids from the future. Please do not ask me how I got this. And with each person that subscribes and likes my YouTube videos, that photo becomes more and more clear. So help out not only me, but little Leo, Raph, Casey, and April having an existence by hitting that subscribe and that like button. You know who else is super important to the rise of my future empire? Did I say empire? I meant fun, friendly, magical friends of the fun future. Well, it's you. Do you like sketching or drawing? What about making awesome costumes or cosplays? Well, you do some fan-related stuff to my comic Blythe, and I will assure you a seat in my future galactic foothold, as well as advertising your fan stuff on all my social medias. Did I say galactic foothold? I meant Adventure Friends Infinity Team. Well, I have to go now, but don't forget that you deserve to have an awesome rest of your day. So I will be seeing you.